Hello and welcome to Byju's IAS. Let's get started and look into our daily quiz. Let's look into the first question. Consider the following statements about wholesale price index. It covers both the goods and the services. It does not include taxes in order to remove the impact of fiscal policy. Which of the above statements are incorrect? Since it is asking for the incorrect statement, the answer to this is one only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention. Let us try and understand what are these options. When we look into the first option, it says it covers both the goods and services. This is a wrong statement. Why? When it comes to the wholesale price index, it only considers the goods and not the services. Let us try and understand what are the key differences between the wholesale price index and the consumer price index. When it comes to the wholesale price index, it is published by the Office of the Economic Advisor. But when it comes to the consumer price index, it is published by the Central Statistics Office. When it comes to the wholesale price index, it measures the initial or the first stage of a transaction. But when it comes to the consumer price index, it is the final or the last stage of the transaction. This is where the customers buy a particular good. This is where the customer will buy this good and ultimately they pay the charges as well. So the first transaction is basically that which involves the wholesale price index. But when it comes to the consumer price index, it is the final endpoint which the consumer pays. And finally, when it comes to the wholesale price index, it covers only the goods when it comes to the WPI. But when it comes to the consumer price index, it covers both the goods as well as the services. The second option is correct. So the answer to this would be one only. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following statements are correct? Contribution of any amount directly or indirectly to any political party shall be considered as CSR activity. Expenses incurred by companies for the fulfillment of any act or statute of regulations would count as CSR expenditure. Under the Companies Act, India is the first country in the world to make CSR mandatory. Which of the statements are correct? The answer to this is 3 only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention of corporate social responsibility. What is this corporate social responsibility? There are three words here. One is the corporate, second is the social, and third is the responsibility. We have number of companies, MNCs as well as corporate bodies. They give goods and services. They also generate profit as well. The profit that they generate, or because of the huge turnover that they have, they owe some responsibility towards the society. So they have to take some of the action plans so that the problems that are persisting in the society are ultimately mitigated. So the responsibility towards the society by the corporate agencies is what is called as corporate social responsibility. Which of the companies will have to comply by this corporate social responsibility? Any company which has a net worth of rupees 500 crore or more, turnover of rupees 1000 crore or more, and net profit of rupees 5 crore or more, such companies fall under and they have to comply by the corporate social responsibilities under the Companies Act. So the companies which are crossing this prescribed threshold are required to spend at least 2% of their average net profit for the immediately preceding 3 financial years as part of the CSR activities. Now if we go back and look into the options, if they are making any contributions towards a political party, that will not come under the corporate social responsibility. So the first option is rooted out. The second option says expenses incurred by the company for the fulfillment of any act or statute. What does this mean? Let's say we have one of the industries. This industries is engaged in one of the manufacturing of the goods as well. So for production of the goods, what we require is the human labor. For the human labor, they have to ensure that there is safety and regulations that are present. So there are labor codes, there are labor laws, there are labor regulations as well, which clearly enforces that safety equipments and measurements will have to be taken by that particular industry. So if a particular company is complying by the acts or the statutes includes that does not fall under the corporate social responsibility. Why? Because the safety equipment is compulsory. Why? Because the safety equipment and other rules and prescriptions are already given in an other act. In such a case, if they are investing on these safety equipment for the betterment of these employees, then such will not fall under the corporate social responsibility. So the second option is also wrong as well. So the option would be only 3. Why? Because India happens to be the first country in the world to make the CSR mandatory. This is the right statement. Again, when you look into the second statement, if there is one of the companies which is enacting or performing certain activities which will only help their employees, that is also not the corporate social responsibility. Let's say they are conducting a marathon event, or let's say they are awarding some awards to their employees, or they're performing one event which is a charitable contribution, or they're advertising about their activities, or they're providing sponsorship on a TV program which is very limited scope, which is one of an event. Even in such a case, the corporate social responsibility will not work out. Now let's look into the next practice question. Which of the following are the percussion instruments? Tabla, mridangam, gattam, kanjira. The answer to this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention of all these important percussion instruments. When it comes to mridangam, we have the mridangam in the first image, followed by the gattam in the second image, and followed by kanjira in the third image. All the three are the percussion instruments. So as part of the assignment, you guys will have to put on the comment section which are the other percussion instruments. Apart from this, you may also have to look into the stringed instruments as well and then put them on the comment section. Now let's look into the next practice question. Consider the following statements. Almost the whole of South Africa is a high plateau sloping towards the west. The Orange and Wild rivers flow from the Drakensberg mountain eastward to the Indian Ocean. Which of the above statements is or correct? The answer to this is one only. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention of South Africa. Now when we look into the options, yes, the first option is right. Almost the whole of South Africa is a plateau, and this tilt towards the west as well. But when you look into the second option, yes, the Orange and the Wild rivers flow from the Drakensberg mountain, but it does not flow eastward. Instead, it flows westward, and it ultimately flows into not the Indian Ocean but the Atlantic Ocean, which is why the second option would be wrong and the answer would be one only. Now if you look into the map, what we have is the Drakensberg mountain. You also have the Orange river as well. If you trace its journey, it is clearly entering the Atlantic Ocean. Also remember, we have the grasslands in the South Africa, and these grasslands are called as fields. Now when we look into this article, it says unrest in South Africa stokes fears of shortages. Why is there riot-like condition? That is because the former president of South Africa, that is Jacob Zuma, who had served the country between 2009 to 2018, was recently arrested and put behind bars. Because he was arrested, there is riot-like situation in South Africa where his supporters have come in open and have damaged properties as well. Why was he arrested? That is because there is contempt petition against him. There is also corruption charges which were enforced on him, which is why he was put behind bars because of the bribe, the corruption charges, as well as the contempt of court proceedings. Now let's look into the next practice question. What are the significances of a practical approach to sugarcane production known as Sustainable Sugarcane Initiative? Seed cost is very low in this compared to the conventional method of cultivation. Drip irrigation can be practiced very effectively in this. There is no application of chemical inorganic fertilizers at all in this. The scope for intercropping is more in this compared to the conventional method of cultivation. Select the correct answer using the code given below. The answer to this is 1, 2 and 4. This happens to be a previous year question from the year 2014. So what is this sustainable sugarcane initiative? This is a way of cultivating sugarcane where we will make use of less number of seeds, where there is less usage of water, where there is optimum utilization of fertilizers. So it is not that we are not using the chemical or the inorganic fertilizers, but there is usage, but this is at the optimum level. This is at the core minimum level, but we are using it, which is why the third option is wrong. Why have we taken this practice question? Because this article here makes a mention about sugarcane. Now let's look into the fact of the day. The fact of the day for today's discussion is National Ayush Mission. What is this National Ayush Mission? This is a centrally sponsored scheme initiated by the Government of India for the development and promotion of Ayurveda, yoga, naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and homeopathy in the country. Since this is a centrally sponsored scheme, it will have both the central government as well as the state government contributing for the successful implementation for the promotion of Ayush medical programs. So basically what we will have is the central government and the state governments which will coordinate together to promote and develop all these Ayush medicinal practices. First important factor is why is that it is a centrally sponsored scheme? That is because health is a state subject. When it comes to health, health is a state subject. The upgradation of the infrastructure will ideally have to be provided by the state government, which is why the central government has left it to the disposal of the state government. But at the same time, if there is requirement of financial assistance for the upgradation of government or the panchayat or the government aided Ayush hospitals and dispensaries, that is when the central government will also contribute as well. It is a health subject, which is why the central government will have minimal role, why the state government will have to expand its role, but wherever it is required, the central government will provide suitable finances, which is in the form of grant in aid under this particular activity as per the National Ayush Mission guidelines. What are the objectives of this National Ayush Mission? There are four objectives to this particular mission. One is to upgrade the infrastructure of the Ayush hospitals. As of now, the infrastructure in couple of states in India may not be meeting the standards. So upgrade these infrastructure is the first objective. The second is the development of educational institutions. Only infrastructure will not help. What we require is the doctors and the practitioners of this particular medicine. So improvise on the educational infrastructure as well. Third, what we require is the cultivation of the medicinal plants. So this has to be on a sustainable basis. So what the governments will have to do is to ensure that there is presence of the medicinal plants as and when it is required for that particular medication. So supporting this particular program, providing quality raw materials is the need of the hour, which is the third objective. And finally, what we require is development of clusters where convergence of cultivation, warehousing program, value addition, marketing and development of infrastructure has to be provided by the entrepreneurs as well. So what we require is a convergence program, convergence of all these coming together so that the entrepreneurs develop and market the Ayush program. So that happens to be the fourth objective of the National Ayush Mission. So what are the mandatory components? It includes providing the hospital services, second, educational institutions, third, providing quality drugs, and fourth is medicinal plants as well. Why are we discussing this? That is because the Union Cabinet has approved the continuation of National Ayush Mission as a centrally sponsored scheme for another 5 years till the year 2026. It is this that we have to understand in reference to this article. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. All the best.